It's a chilly autumn night in 1996, and the Sherman family is huddled together in their ranch house, fearing for their lives. The sound of strange creatures and unexplained noises has been echoing through the night, and Terry Sherman is trying to keep his family safe. As they peer out into the darkness, they see shadowy figures lurking just beyond the edge of the property. The family's dogs are barking frantically, as if they sense something is terribly wrong. Suddenly, a loud crash is heard from the barn, and the family's horses are screaming in terror. What could be causing this chaos, and will the Sherman family make it through the night alive? But as the night wears on, the family begins to realize that they are not alone, and that something sinister is lurking just beyond the edge of their property, waiting to strike. According to a police report filed on October 25, 1996, the family heard a strange, piercing howl that seemed to come from all directions at once. To understand the events that unfolded on that fateful night, we need to go back to the beginning. The Sherman family had lived on the ranch for several years, and their life was one of quiet routine. Terry Sherman, a successful businessman, had purchased the ranch as a way to escape the stresses of city life and raise his family in a more peaceful environment. His wife, Gwen, was a homemaker, and their two children, Matthew and Sarah, were both in school. The family spent their days tending to the horses, cattle, and other animals on the ranch, and their nights sitting around the dinner table, enjoying each other's company. But as the years went by, strange occurrences began to happen, and the family started to feel like they were being watched. At first, it was just small things, like tools going missing or strange noises in the night. But as time went on, the events became more frequent and more intense. In 1994, the family reported a series of strange lights in the sky to the local authorities, which were documented in a report by the Utah County Sheriff's Office. The Skinwalker Ranch, also known as Sherman Ranch, has a long and dark history of paranormal activity. The ranch is located in Utah, near the town of Vernal, and has been the site of numerous UFO sightings, cattle mutilations, and other unexplained phenomena. The area has a rich cultural and spiritual history, with the Ute Native American tribe considering it a sacred place. But it's also an area with a history of violence and bloodshed, with numerous reports of strange creatures and supernatural beings. The ranch itself has been the subject of intense scientific study, with researchers from the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS, conducting extensive investigations into the strange occurrences. The team, led by Combe Kelleher, a renowned physicist, spent several years studying the ranch, and their findings were nothing short of astonishing. They documented numerous cases of UFO sightings, crop circles, and other unexplained phenomena, and their research helped to shed light on the mysterious events that have plagued the ranch for decades. A 1997 report by NIDS details the team's findings and provides a glimpse into the strange happenings on the ranch. The first sign of something strange happening on the ranch occurred in 1994, when the Sherman family began to notice that their cattle were being mutilated. At first, they thought it was the work of predators, such as coyotes or mountain lions, but as the events continued to happen, they realized that something more sinister was at play. The cattle were being killed and mutilated in a way that was unlike anything the family had ever seen before. The bodies were being found with strange symbols carved into the flesh, and the organs were being removed with a level of precision that was almost surgical. A veterinary report from the time, filed by Dr. George Erickson, details the bizarre nature of the mutilations and the family's initial confusion and fear. As the days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences on the ranch continued to intensify. The family began to experience strange and terrifying events, such as unexplained noises, moving shadows, and disembodied voices. They would hear footsteps in the night and see shadowy figures lurking just beyond the edge of the property. The family was at a loss for how to explain these events, and they began to feel like they were losing their grip on reality. A journal entry from Terry Sherman, dated March 10, 1997, describes the family's growing sense of unease and fear as the events escalated. The creature that the family saw on that fateful night was not a one-time occurrence. It returned again and again, always watching and waiting. The family tried to document its appearances, but the creatures seemed to be able to evade their cameras and other surveillance equipment. They would see it out of the corner of their eye or catch a glimpse of it in the distance, but whenever they tried to get a closer look, it would vanish into thin air. According to an interview with Matthew Sherman, the creature was seen by multiple family members on several occasions, and its presence was always accompanied by a feeling of intense fear and dread. As the family continued to experience the strange occurrences on the ranch, they began to realize that something was not quite right. The creatures, the UFO sightings, the cattle mutilations, it all seemed to be connected, but they didn't know how. And then one day, they received a visit from a mysterious stranger. The stranger was a man dressed in a black suit, and he seemed to know more about the ranch and the strange occurrences than he was letting on. He introduced himself as Agent Thompson from the Department of Defense, and he warned the family to be careful and to stay quiet about what they had seen. As the family delved deeper into the mystery of the ranch, they began to uncover a hidden truth. They learned that the ranch was a place of great power and energy, a place where different dimensions and realities converged. They discovered that the creatures they had seen were not just random entities, but were actually beings from a different dimension, beings that were drawn to the ranch for a reason. A book written by a local Native American tribe, titled The Legends of the Ute, provides a glimpse into the spiritual and cultural significance of the land and the creatures that inhabit it. As the family continued to experience the strange occurrences on the ranch, they began to feel the personal toll of the events. The stress and fear were taking a toll on their relationships, and they were starting to turn on each other. The family was fracturing, and they didn't know how to stop it. A counseling session with Dr. Catherine Peters, a psychologist specializing in trauma and stress, helped the family to begin to process their emotions and to find a way to heal and move forward. As the family continued to investigate the strange occurrences on the ranch, they discovered a document from the CIA, dated 1955, which revealed that the government had been monitoring the ranch for decades. The document, codenamed Project Stargate, detailed the government's interest in the paranormal activity on the ranch and their efforts to understand and harness its power. The family was shocked and outraged by this discovery, and they didn't know what to do. As the family continued to experience the strange occurrences on the ranch, they decided to call in a team of investigators to help them get to the bottom of the mystery. The team, led by a renowned paranormal investigator, began to conduct a thorough investigation of the ranch. They set up equipment and cameras and began to monitor the ranch for any signs of paranormal activity. A report from the investigation team, filed on February 20, 1998, details their findings and provides a glimpse into the strange happenings on the ranch. As the investigation continued, the government released a statement, signed by Senator Harry Reid, claiming that the creatures were simply a hoax and that the family was perpetuating a false story. However, a Freedom of Information Act request filed by the family revealed a memo from the Pentagon dated January 10, 1997, which contradicted the government's official statement and suggested that the creatures were, in fact, real. As the family continued to speak out against the government's explanation, they began to develop an alternative explanation for the strange occurrences on the ranch. They discovered that the ranch was located on a site of great spiritual power and that the creatures were simply a manifestation of this power. A lecture by Dr. John Mack, a Harvard professor and expert on UFOs and alien abduction, provided further insight into the family's alternative explanation and the possible connection between the creatures and the spiritual power of the land. As the family continued to investigate the strange occurrences on the ranch, they discovered a fact that would change everything. They found that the creatures were not just random entities, but were actually connected to an ancient evil that had been awakened on the land. A diary entry from Gwen Sherman, dated April 15, 1997, describes the family's growing sense of fear and dread as they realized the true nature of the creatures and the evil that they represented. The Skinwalker Ranch is a place of dark history and unexplained phenomena. The family's experience on the ranch was a life-changing event that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The creatures, the UFO sightings, the cattle mutilations, It was all connected to an ancient evil that had been awakened on the land. According to a statement from the Ute Native American tribe, the ranch is a place of great spiritual power and energy, and the creatures that inhabit it are a manifestation of this power. If this kept you up at night, subscribe. We post dark history every week.